Hey guys, welcome back. NorCal Cycling here with Chris again.
Hello.
What's up, Chris? This is something a little different, isn't it?
This is quite different for the channel, I do believe.
We're bike reviewers now.
I think we have put our media hats on, and we are looking to challenge the status quo of cycling journalism.
So long story short, I think Specialized accidentally turned us into journalists.
We'll admit it, we stole these bikes.
We have some new Tarmacs SL7. We have very little journalistic integrity, so we're going to tell you exactly how we feel, and let's
get it out of the way. Greatest bike ever. Thank you, Specialized.
Yeah, no, seriously, like and subscribe, because we want to do this again. So let us know how you like this. I had a lot of fun. Anyway, this is not going to be like your normal content around a new release, where they talk about specs. We're going to give you our personal opinions, and we're going to go out and race the bike because we're bike racers, and we want to tell you how the thing actually behaves on the road from our perspective. And I think most people who want to buy this bike want to know how the thing behaves out on the road.
Yeah, and like when you think about what we have to do, we obviously don't have any racing to do, but we had the opportunity to go out for our first ride, and we figured we would take you guys along with us. So this is going to be our first experience on the bike, and we wanted to hit a few different categories. We want to talk about how does this thing sprint. Jeff's a big sprinter, giant legs. We want to talk about climbing. I'm smaller than him, I guess, so I'm the climber. And then how does this thing bang around a crit course? And from that, I think in a couple of hours, we can kind of give you a first impression on what this thing's like.
Yeah, because that's all we had was a couple of hours on the bike.
So far, but we will, in the future, have a lot more. So we're going to keep these bikes and we're going to hang on to them, and we'll come back hopefully in a month and a half with longer-term impressions on how this thing rolls.
Yeah, 3 categories. Let's dive right into it, starting with the sprint.
Jeff, you are the sprinter. So as a sprinter, what are you looking for in a bike?
So I think stiffness is paramount, right? Because like aero is obviously really important, but we were on the bike for 2 hours. Like, I don't know how aero it is. That's hard to say. You can look at the marketing material that Specialized puts out. It's supposed to be aero. I don't know if it's aero. It certainly looks aero.
We went fast enough that I had to cover the brakes because I was nervous. So like that, I guess it's aero because it's going fast.
Yeah, so we did a few sprints. I guess my first impression is the thing feels like the Venge. We race on a Venge Pro. That's our Mike's Bikes team bike. So I've been doing all of my training and the very little amount of racing on the Venge. So coming from that to this new Tarmac, my first thought was I can hardly even tell the difference, which is a good thing because the brand new Tarmac SL7 is like over 2 pounds lighter than the Venge. It is lighter, but it feels just as stiff. So to me, that was a win.
Totally. And when like you're looking for a bike that's like sprinting, they're looking for speed at like once you're up to speed, you want it to carry, right? And so a lot of times when people are riding the Venge, they're choosing it for flatter days or flatter crits or whatever. But with this bike, like honestly, like that's kind of been my opinion too. You don't need to compromise and go for all the speed of the Venge because you can have it in this package that's equally light.
Yeah. Oh, and that's Specialized's claim, by the way, which is funny. It's like the one bike to rule them all. I don't know what their claim is. It's basically there's only one race bike you need now, which is this bike. And again, 2 hours we were on this thing. I'm interested to see if these claims are actually true. But in terms of sprinting, yeah, I mean, it feels great. I have this quick anecdote. It's not even really old, to be honest, but it's a dedicated climbing bike. And it is your standard round tube section, super lightweight climbing bike. And at its core, it is a great climbing bike. It's very light, but one problem is when you're sprinting and you're really putting down the power, I can feel that bottom bracket move underneath me. And that doesn't really instill confidence in a sprinter. That's kind of what I was expecting when I first felt the new Tarmac, which is, by the way, incredibly light. It's almost at the UCI limit of 15 pounds. So far, in the 2 hours I've tested it, it is a very capable sprint bike. I want to go race on it to confirm, but it feels great.
What was like funny out on the road, like we kept honestly like not. This is our journalistic integrity. We had this in the notes that we were going to say this. We honestly kept saying like back and forth to each other like this thing rides really well, and like it's
true.
Like it has that snap that you look for that makes you feel better about your own ability, and I think that's like a huge thing. So I think that kind of transitions as well into like how does this bike climb, and you know when you're going up a hill, you want a bike that is going to feel light. And I think I always appreciate, when I'm on a climb and I'm dying, because there are a lot of guys that are skinnier than me that can go up a hill a lot faster. I want a bike that when I'm putting that power down, does it just like it does in a sprint, but also it feels like it can accelerate, because I always tend to get dropped when those surges happen on climbs. And with this bike, it's very light, but it also just feels like it can snap and make those accelerations. So as people are trying to accelerate and get away from you, it's cool and it's composed and it's calm.
You don't have to pull an extra 2 pounds up the hill, which can make or break you when it comes down to it. I'm not there, by the way, for the record. When
You're
those
not
climbers
worried
get
about the
away,
2 pounds?
when the climbers get away and it's like coming down to 2 pounds, I'm dropped.
Jeff has thought about it for like the last 30 minutes. Like, when can I go to the gruppetto?
30 minutes. I'd lead you guys out to the bottom of the climb, and then I go,
you guys can do it. All right, so honestly, it goes uphill crazy. It's super fast uphill, and I think that's partially due to how well it pedals, but it also just feels like it has that snap, so you can stay with it.
And the numbers don't lie. It's light.
It's super light.
Yeah. That's one thing we can test. Aero is like, yeah, look at the marketing material, whatever. We weighed it. It's light.
It's quite light. The last piece I'd say, I wrote this down as descending or crit banger, which is like, how does it hit a corner? And we found a really great section of road here in, we're in kind of the San Jose and the Bay Area here in California. We found a great section of road, super narrow, no traffic, no nothing, and
lots of potholes though.
Lots, some sketchy surfaces. But we got to rip through a really good section of road. So how did this make you feel? Again, like being your first time on the bike, ripping corners.
So the most important thing here is, if I were to get on another new bike in the first 2 hours, I wouldn't rip corners like I was on this bike. So I think that's a testament to.
We were filming you though. That's how that works. The camera adds 10 miles an hour.
So I was risking more because I knew I was being filmed. No, but seriously, like, I felt confident on the bike more so than I thought I was going to, because you put yourself on a new bike, and then there's always going to be a certain amount of reservation, like, ooh, how is this going to be in an off-camber, bumpy, weird corner that I'm not familiar with, on a bike I'm not familiar with. But like, I was ripping those corners pretty hard.
Totally. But that's the thing, we talked about this as well while we were out on the road. Specialized has really dialed in their geometry, how the bike is put together, its angles, and how the bike is going to handle. It's been about the same for the Venge for the last couple of years. It's been the same for the Tarmac for the last few years. So you can really, I think, look at what this bike is and understand that it's going to ride just like any Specialized you've ridden in the last few years. It's not something that you're going to get on and be like, having to find a new way to get around a corner. And that was great for us to be able to throw a leg over and just go fast.
Yeah, I didn't have to do anything, come to think of it. Like, we built it up, and I think I moved the saddle back like 3 millimeters. I was like, all right, let's go rip some corners as hard as we possibly can. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that if the bike wasn't a capable race bike, or if the geometry was weird and felt foreign. So yeah, to your point, like, it felt like I was on a Venge. I guess that's what I keep coming back to, is it felt like I was on the Venge. And I want to add something about the wheels too, because the wheels are brand new.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about, like, we didn't want to talk a ton about spec, but like, it does have some pretty cool features to it. So the wheels are the new Revol Rapide wheels, which are short in front and thick in the back, like Jeff's 1995 haircut,
and the Snowden stash that
exactly.
I'm rocking these days. No, I think we called it the mullet, right? It's a business in the front, party in the back.
That's also part of the marketing material. Please spread that around.
It's got that, and like, it's a baby Venge, both in the way it feels, the way it rides, and the way it looks. Like, it has the integrated cockpit, integrated but not one piece, right? There's a big difference.
Oh my God, one piece cockpits, like,
they look really cool. They probably go really fast.
If you know anyone in the bike industry, just go yell at that person for an hour or two, even if they have nothing to do with integrated cockpits, but just try to put that negativity back into the space. Because, like, if you need to change a stem, if you need to rotate your bar, if you need to do anything, they're impossible.
You got to replace the whole thing, right?
Or if you go to a race, you fly across the country, and TSA has decided to throw your bike bag like the hammer throw in the Olympics. All of a sudden, you end up with a bike that's cracked in half, and you're looking for a handlebar at 2 a.m. in the morning trying to get ready for the crit the next day. Just doesn't happen.
That's oddly specific, Chris. Was that a personal?
Never happened to me.
Yeah. No, so this is like the way that Specialized pitches it is you get all the benefit of an integrated cockpit, but without that fuss. So the parts all fit together as if it's integrated. And I'm sure they're really expensive and proprietary, but at least it's not an entire...
They hope you're going to break one because it's $1,700. It's like that Apple monitor stand that was $1,000 for just a piece of aluminum. Yeah.
But I'm sure, like, the spacer, I'm sure, is crazy expensive, but a spacer isn't going to be as much as, like, a Vengevice handlebar if you break that.
Right. So the handlebar's great. I think, it's very similar to what we had on
the Venge, right? It's like the same
thing. It really
thing.
is. I think that there are some differences in terms of stem and spacers, but functionality is identical.
Yeah.
The wheels, you touched on those a second ago, but the wheels are pretty crazy. It's a 50 millimeter deep wheel in the front, 60 in the back, and the front wheel is like
35 mil. It's crazy
It's
wide,
a
whatever it
thick
is.
boy.
Yeah, it is crazy wide. And looking down at it, it's like you can see the edges of the rim around a 26 mil tire. It's crazy thick.
Totally. But the inner diameter is very similar to kind of what wheels have been doing in the last few years. It's 21 millimeters on the inside of the diameter. And then you've got this really wide profile, which theoretically in a crosswind is supposed to make it more stable.
That's the idea behind it. Yeah, again, we're not going to go into specs too much. I want to tell you more about the feel. Just coming back, I think we can wrap up the wheels real fast. What I did do, I just remembered about it now, is I kept checking for flats because I thought I had a flat. That might be the tire difference. That's probably the wheel difference. I don't think it has anything to do with like the frame or anything like that. It just felt more compliant in that comfortable up-down direction, but just as stiff in the horizontal direction.
Sure. The wheels always have a lot to do with that. I do actually think the back end of this bike felt nice. Like I know on our Venges, the seat post is really thick fore and aft, like it's thick front to back. And when you hit a pothole, you know it.
Oh yeah.
And on this, we were on some pretty rough surfaces and it felt great.
Yeah. I think that's a wrap. We're going to try to keep this short. What we're going to do is come back for you guys with a longer term review and let you know in a similar fashion, but just with, I think, several hundred miles, hopefully under our belt, depending on how the training goes, and give you a longer term review and let you guys know how we're doing about a month from now.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Later.